Because of the common sense pamphlet that we learned about in the last flip video, as well as other patriots speaking out to their constituents about declaring independence and becoming independent from Great Britain, the Second Continental Congress actually formed a committee to start drafting a declaration. This is the first time that independence and a war may be at stake. Thomas Jefferson had the job of drafting this declaration, and it was very interesting because Thomas Jefferson was the youngest member of the Continental Congress at this time, at only 33 years old. And he was very soft-spoken. He didn't speak up a lot at the meetings, but he really got his words across very well in his writing. And all the delegates knew this, and that's why he had the job of writing this declaration. His job was to explain why the colonies were choosing to separate from Great Britain. This is going to be the document that outlines why the colonies are going to break away from the British Empire. John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, two names that we have learned, helped Jefferson draft this document and even suggested changes that needed to be made in the draft. The Declaration's main goal, and this is important to understand, its main goal was to explain why the colonies were separating from Great Britain. This was going to be a declaration that was going to be sent directly to the king. Here's an image of these three founding fathers drafting the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin is right here on the left, looking at some words that Jefferson had put down. Adams is right here in the middle, and then standing is Thomas Jefferson. These three kind of minds together drafted this declaration and put down the words that will forever be in history. Jefferson is going to mainly argue in the Declaration of Independence that independence is going to be based on the principle known as natural rights. This was different from the other rights because all people were born with natural rights. So all people, and by what I mean by natural rights, is they are born equal in God's sight and entitled to the same basic rights. These include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are the natural rights that Thomas Jefferson wanted to get across. And he put this in the Declaration of Independence by saying, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And these are the famous words that you have probably heard before that are included in the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson goes on to argue that the power to rule comes from the citizens. And this is the opposite of what was going on in the colonies, where really the ruling was being done by the king and by Parliament. And the people in the colonies didn't feel like citizens, they felt like subjects. And he's going to argue that the power to rule should come from the people, not the king. Jefferson stated that if the government fails to protect these rights, then it is the right of the people to alter and abolish it. That means the citizens, if these natural rights aren't being protected and the power to rule isn't coming from the citizens, then the citizens need to do something about it. And this is what the Declaration was doing here. People, he states, can create a new government that will protect their safety and happiness. So he really put the power of people into this document and made it known that if things aren't going right, the people can change it, and the people can make a new government that they are happy with and that they feel safe in. After arguing these principles of natural rights and the power to rule should come from the citizens, Jefferson goes on to state many of the king's crimes. Jefferson argues that King George had shown no concerns for the rights of the colonists and denied them their natural rights and their rights as citizens. He goes on to provide a long list of the king's abuses towards the colonists. These prove that King George III, was unfit to be the ruler of a free people. So these crimes laid out many, many reasons why the colonists were going to break away and why King George was not a good ruler for the colonists. Jefferson goes on to claim that the time has come for the colony's ties to Great Britain to be broken. And this is really declaring the independence right here, that our ties are going to be broken. We are going to rise up, and we're going to create our own government that is going to ensure us safety and happiness, and it's going to ensure us our natural rights and the power coming from the citizens as well. Right here is just an image of the draft that Thomas Jefferson was writing on the Declaration of Independence. As you can see, this is kind of an old school draft per se, when you're crossing out certain lines, writing new words above them. This was, like I said, really helped by John Adams and Benjamin Franklin. And we're going to see a clip in the John Adams HBO series regarding the drafting of the Constitution, such an important process in American history.